Hi, this is Saizo, and welcome to my settings guide. I've seen in the past that a lot of people struggle with their settings, and the general settings in League of Legends, and actually in a lot of games, are by default not that user-friendly. So I want to give you some short tips on what you can actually do to improve your League of Legends gameplay, and just make it easier for you to play a bit better. Uh, so let's start from the top to the bottom. First of all, I'd recommend using quick cast on everything because it does it faster than normal cast. But if you be like, all right, but I want to see my spell indicator, you could press replace quick cast with the indicator here. But I do have the feeling that it still has a short delay. So what I did was that I went here under abilities and summoner spells and set my spell 1 to shift Q, spell 2, which is W, to shift W, spell 3 shift E, and my fourth spell to shift R, which means I can still press Q or W or E or R as fast as I want. But I can also press shift and Q or shift and R, and like doesn't work with Viego because the instantly channels, right? Or shift and E, and have the range shown, which is very, very easy. I did the same with the items. So with my trinkets, which is shift and 4, and items 1, 2, and 3, which is 1, 2, and 3, and then 5, 6, and 7 down here, which is then shift 1, shift 2, shift 3, then shift 4 is the trinket, and shift 5, 6, and 7 for the bottom row items. So what it does is if I still want to like just face someone, this is in the bush here, and I want to just attack him as soon as I can, I just put a normal ward in there very, very fast. But let's say I want to have the vision range shown, which as you can see did not show there. If I press shift and 4, I now, you see the outer circle here. This is the vision range of my trinket. So if I want to cover this edge, then I'll be like, all right, where do I have to place my ward? You can just see the circle, move it there, and be like, all right, there you go. And then you have the vision there, and it's very, very easy. Same works with the ping ward, of course, right? If you put it down here, you can just put it in the exact, see like, all right, we have the vision, and just place it down, which makes it very, very easy and very handy to know exactly how much vision does your trinket or ward grant you. And it also works with the some other active items, which is very, very handy if you actually do want to know your the range of some things. The next thing that I have is that I have my attack move on my left click. So as you can see, this is only left clicking. My cursor turns orange. If you do not use colorblind mode, your cursor is going to be red. My movement cursor is blue, which is without colorblind mode green. And I also have it on A because this is also my range then on top, so I use both. But just using right and left click, it makes it very, very easy for me to like to attack someone, to move in between, and even if I now misclick, I would still hit this guy, right? Which is a short explanation. Attack move means that even if you misclick, you will still attack the target which is closest to you. There is one thing in the game thing here. If you have this disabled and there are two champions, and you, let's say you play a range champion, then and this makes more sense in this case, and you attack here, then you will attack, if you have this disabled, then you will attack the closest champion to you. So even if I attack here, I will attack this guy. But if you have this this on, and you wanna attack this guy, let's say we're Ash or Vayne or whatever, and we want to attack this guy, but we shortly misclick, we will still attack this guy. So even if from range, we will still attack this guy here. And of course, if you hit this guy, and if you hit this guy, right? This makes sense, of course. Okay, this is very nice to have. Which means, why should you have attack move in the first place? Let's also talk about this. If I do not use attack move, and if I play range champion or melee champion, doesn't matter, maybe even more for range champions though. And if I misclick, I actually move into him, which is not what I want, right? Let's say I want a kite or something, or even in a melee fight, I just use right click now, and then I misclick, I move in there, and then I just lose damage, or maybe even get killed because I move into him, right? Here, Ash, and then you move into this guy, and that Riven is like, all right, you come into my range, I got you now. Very bad. So this just makes it a lot easier for you to actually land your attacks. even if you slightly misclick, or even big misclicks, right? But then depends, right, closest to your cursor. As you can see here, close to my cursor, depends really on like where do we click, who's the closest to my cursor there. All right, so then I have it on my left click. Then you'll be like, how do you move with the over the map with the old left click? I have my how is it called, my mouse wheel button, the middle button. I just click it and then I can move over the map, or I hold it and then I can drag it over the map. This is how I use it. I can still zoom in and out. And that's what I do. I can still right click on the map and move there, or if I left click on the map, it will make my camera snap to the target location, and I also move there. So I can go like this or this if I left click on the minimap, or I just right click and it stays where I am, or I just move use the screen, the wheel, right, the mouse wheel, which is my standard thing. If you use spine auto tag move to left click with this function here, which I do not have, I have my own input file. I believe it is that you have to press shift and left click to move over the minimap, which I found very annoying, so I binded it myself in my input file differently. If you want to have my input file and you do not want to have shift and left click to move over the minimap, I can also put my input file in the description for you to download. And if you have questions or anything regarding anything in this video, just leave a comment, just ask. I will take my time to answer you and go through it. And yeah, I will be glad to help you. Communication, the only thing I've maybe there is quick enemy vision ping. So I've it on X. So if I want to show that there is vision, I can ping this, signals enemy has vision there. Very easy. In the video, I believe there's nothing. Sounds also just as you like it. HUD scale, I have it on 1. If you put it on very big, it robs me a lot from my screen. So of course, if you have bad eyes or you just like to have big, use it. For my preference, I like to see more, so I have it on very small, and I like to see if there's a champion here, and if I don't know big, the champion could disappear behind the HUD. Other than that, champion highlight on the camera center, just is like if I press spacebar, then I have a little triangle and a little circle around me to make it easier for me to show myself. Show off-screen pings is like the little pings if someone else pings, but I mostly play without teammates pings because they're very annoying in the usually times. So I don't like to have this on, but if you want it, you can use it. All right. Always show extended tooltip info, very important. So as you can, if I have it off, then you see just the standard text, but if I put it on, then you see in the gray underneath the spell, it shows some extra information, just extra knowledge that is there, and you can read through it. It's not as detailed as on the League fandom Wikipedia, but it is very, very handful. Is it that word? Useful to read through it and be able to just some little extra information. Why not, right? Next thing is enable line missile display. I believe this is that you have this range shown here, so you need to put it on. Disable HLD spell click. So if I click here on my spells, I actually can't click on them with my mouse. Versus if I now click on them, I could click on them, so I could actually flash. Which I do not want to. If you click your spells and then on the map, of course, you do that way, then you should not have it on, but I recommend having this on and using quick cast. Show spell cost. Diego does not have any, but if you play a champion with spell cost, then you don't have to hover over the spells and see here in the right here it says in the corner no cost, or like 100 mana ash arrow or whatever, and it just says a little like with the ash. Then it says a little 100 here in the top corner. Then you can instantly see how much mana or how much energy your spell does cost, which is very, very useful. So I'd also put it on. Okay. Scoreboard layout is actually also very useful because let me go back here. It's display. Where is it? Communication? No. Player movement. Let me quickly look for it. Camera control. It's camera control. I have select LE1, 2, 3, and 4 on F1, F2, F3, and F4. So if there's a game, it doesn't work in practice tool, and you have like your 4 teammates, I press F1, F2, F3, F4 to like see my mates. And the first one, like you don't count yourself that way. You don't count yourself. So I just press, even if you're on the third button, the upperst is the F1. So if you're in the first place, it's actually the second guy who's F1. Then F2, F3, and F4. Just even if you take the second guy and swap him with the other guy here, then they just also swap with the F keys. So the F keys is always, the first guy is always F1, then F2, F3, F4, and you can change the order, and then you will still have, like, if you put the second guy on the first place, then this now first place is still going to be F1, right? So very easy. I always like to have the top laners in F1, mid lane F2, and so on, but you can do it as you want. If you mirror it, the scoreboard layout, and you see that the enemies are not as in the same direction as yours, or your team is not as the enemies, then you know someone swapped in the champ select, because that's where it gets set, right? Who is which role. And then you also may know someone is autofilled or anything else. So I like to have this on as well. Next is show timestamps. So if you press, like, if you time a flag, for instance, and then you can see here, all right, 14:05, then you know, right, all right, even if you fight, and then you can look in the chat afterwards, all right, what happened here, and you see which minute. To be like 10:05, Diego F, right? And then you instantly Diego F 19:05, and then you immediately have it, right? It's very, very easy to time that way. Just very handy, or like with barons or inhibitors or anything that's like standing in the chat, you can just read through it and time it that way. Next is combat text. I always like to have everything on, which just helps me seeing like how much experience do I get from these things, like Rift Herald, what are the changes maybe, just so that I get a feeling, how much is it, and over the spawn or course of games, then I know, like, all right, how much did I heal, how much, especially the experience is something I like a lot. How much experience did I get? I think gold and so on, a couple of these are on by default, but I know that a couple of these are not on by default. I'd just like to have all of them on and soak in all the information I can get. If it's too much for you, again, you don't have to put anything as I have it. It's just like, for my recommendation, what I like to have, and what I find very useful, and I like to have extra information. Next is auto attack. I have it on by default. So this means if I right click here, I will automatically attack someone if he's closer to me. If I do not have this on and I move here, then I will not attack this guy. So you'll be like, all right, but if I want to play maybe super and I don't want to move there and I don't want to attack this guy, you can move here and then just press S and you will also not attack this guy. So I think it's very handy to always be ready to attack someone, even if you may be dreaming for half a second or so, and so that you just automatically out attack. We talked about attacking from cursor already, and the display recommended jungle path is for newer players, or if you're not that familiar with jungle, or you just like to have it. It doesn't bother me. I don't use it, but you can have it on. It doesn't really do anything. I believe that's it for my settings guide for the most useful settings that you may have. Maybe there's something in there that you actually didn't know before. Maybe you knew all of this. But I just know from experience that a lot of players, especially with the tech move and with the trinkets, that they like to have this on, and with the range, right, with the missile range, that you can see this. And still have a quick cast on, that this is very useful. So feel free to drop a comment if you don't understand something, if you found it useful, if you have any other questions, and I will be more than glad to help you. And have a great day, everyone.